Hi, everyone, and welcome to our live Q&A with Dean and Massey. I'm Sammy Mack, and I'm an Isenberg senior working for the Marketing and Communications Department. This session is specifically for you, our wonderful and engaged Isenberg alumni. We know that you've been wondering what's happening at school as we've had to suddenly move all our operations and instruction of campus during the coronavirus pandemic. We just wanted to give the Dean a chance to fill you in personally on how things are going. Most of you know Dean Ann Massey. She has been leading Isenberg since last summer, our first woman dean, which we're very excited about. She spent her career teaching and researching in the field of information systems with a special focus on remote and virtual teams, so we're really lucky to have her heading up our operations during this crazy time. We did a call out last week for questions which we're answering today. If as you're watching you think of other ones, please click on the Q&A button at the bottom of the Zoom screen and submit it there. We might follow up with another Q&A session to answer more questions you might have or put together a written list of answers. So Dean Massey, if you're ready, we can launch into the Q&A.
Well, thanks, Sammy, and I want to thank Sammy. She's going to make a career out of this. We did one of these students, and we had a lot of fun, so I appreciate her doing it again.
Oh yeah, no problem. Great. So the first question is, how does online education work? I graduated in the 80s, and I just don't get it.
Well, I graduated in the 80s too, and it's a lot different than it was back then, but basically, what I want to say with the online education, we always kind of draw a distinction between the classroom education and online. But for Isenberg, for the students and for the faculty alike, we use technology all the time. So even for students on campus, there's technologies infused into courses. We have software in support of a lot of things that people are doing, simulations and modeling and so on. And then we have learning management systems that support students outside the classroom, where faculty share their class materials, PowerPoints, readings, links to articles and news stories and so on. So students are very exposed to technology, and faculty are too, much like they would be in the companies that they're going to go work for as for internships or permanent jobs. So the transition for us from on campus to online was a little bit easier, right? I think the key difference that we have is this notion of place and time. So on campus, especially when we're meeting in a classroom setting, it's the same place and the same time. When we're talking about remote or virtual learning, it can be different. It's certainly different place, and it could be different time. You may do things asynchronously. I might record a lecture, make it available to a student online. They watch it when it's convenient to them, and then we might come together. We're using Zoom right now, and we use Zoom in support of our remote learning, and students are meeting synchronously with their instructors. They can be having, talking about cases or working problem sets. So we use a combination of technologies that try to simulate the real world experience, the in-class experience. It's not quite the same, but it's pretty close.
Right, great. And from my perspective, I have had a good transition to online learning. My classes have been great. So leading into the next question, how has the transition been for students, and what additional help do they need during the crisis?
I will say for the Isenberg students that all things have been really positive. I've talked to a number of students. I've interacted with them via email and so on, and the students have been, by and large, very complimentary and very appreciative of what the faculty have been doing. Not just the faculty, but all the staff in the offices, such as Chase Career Center, advising, and so on, the undergrad and graduate programs, the support that has been provided. So the transition, I think, has gone fairly smoothly. For some students, though, we've had to provide some additional help. Either they've got poor internet connections where they are, or they maybe needed some help with some technology like a laptop loaner. So we've been doing that kind of support as well, just making sure every student has the same opportunity to access the teaching and learning materials that we've been providing.
Awesome, thank you. So the next question is, what is the biggest challenge in maintaining the quality of education in the switch to online learning?
I think much like, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, Sammy, I've studied virtual teams and remote work for almost 30 years now. In particular, I work with new product development teams where there's some members of the team are in North America, some are in Europe, some may be in Asia, and they're working 24 hours, right? They just keep passing the work over the time zones. The biggest challenge that we're seeing, and I think this is true for virtual work in organizations, is that how do you engage people? How do we engage students when everything we're doing is mediated by technology, right? We're using Zoom right now, we can see each other, but I can't go anywhere with you. I mean, I'd have to pick up my laptop and walk around my house to take you with me, right? So it's harder, I can do a shared screen, but it's a little harder to do some things. There's some technologies out there that we'll be playing with and that we can test. But that engagement piece, what I have told the faculty when we started this or started talking about this right before spring break is to over communicate. When you're working virtually, one of the biggest challenges is out of sight, out of mind, right? I'm not with you. I'm not working together in the hub with my classmates. I'm not seeing my professor walking down the hall, right? So we got that out of sight, out of mind mentality. So engagement, over communicate. Those are the things that I think are really important. And I think our faculty, by and large, from what I've heard, are doing a wonderful job. I've told the students to over communicate too. I've been sending emails out to students weekly and kind of giving them some tips. And then we had this session a couple weeks ago. So the thing that I think is most important is that we maintain engagement and maintain that connection.
For sure, yeah. I know we all miss being in the hub, but I think we've done a great job of being able to stay connected with everything that's going on, for sure. So the next question is, how do you ensure that all professors are creating an engaging virtual classroom versus some who are simply assigning students to read a chapter without any virtual component? Have you considered a platform for private student feedback and suggestions without penalty?
Well, there's so two parts to that question is the way that a faculty member designs their online class and then delivers it, okay? So as I think I mentioned earlier, Isenberg has been a leader in online education for 20 years. As many of our alumni know or should know, our online MBA program has been ranked #1 in the United States for the last 4 years straight, #3 in the world. So we've got a lot of experience in doing online and technology-enabled education. So I would be very surprised. I've not heard of any of our faculty that are just giving assignments to read and then there's no interaction, there's no synchronous components. So I think that, that notion of over-communication, that notion of coming together, a combination of synchronous and asynchronous activities. Now, faculty may give students, much to student chagrin, some reading assignments, right? So I might assign something online, a case or some readings, and then I might bring you together, and this is what many of our faculty are doing. It's almost like a flipped class. You do some of that work ahead of time. Maybe I record a lecture and you listen to it, you watch it, you might answer some questions. But then we come together, most likely through Zoom, and we have a synchronous session where we talk about the case. Through Zoom, I can put you in small groups, break you into small group sessions. So a lot of things where it's a combination of activities that we're trying to, simulate the real world experience, but take advantage of the technology that is allowing us to be together.
Right.
And the second, I think there was a second part to that question, was about student feedback. We are always looking, we've got student feedback. The university has done some surveys. All of our courses, as some of you may know, certainly alumni know, give feedback. Students are giving anonymous feedback at the end of the course. And we take all that feedback to heart and we'll use it as we kind of think how we go forward. This is true whether or not it's a regular on-the-ground class or an online class as well. So we appreciate any feedback from our students.
Right, great, thank you. Next question is, how are your professors helping students who might need extra help now that they don't have office hours?
The office hours thing. So, and I think Sammy would appreciate this. She knows this. For those of us who graduated back in the 80s, we remember trudging across our campuses in the snow, in the rain, sleet, we're like the mailman, going to the office hours that faculty members were holding in their building, right? But we don't do that anymore. I mean, faculty do hold office hours, and some students do physically come to those office hours. But if you talk to faculty today, and this has been experience teaching in recent years, is most students communicate with us electronically. We may do a Zoom session or some other synchronous video session like that. Oftentimes it's email. Students often will text a faculty member. I would give my number and say, if there's a problem, let me know. So most of the office hours are technology mediated already. The nice thing about Zoom and what we're using now, faculty are still holding office hours. And I will say, I'm going to have office hours from 9 to 10 a.m. Tuesday morning, for example. And what students can do is they come into Zoom and there's a wait office feature. So there's a waiting room. So a faculty member, I could bring Sammy in, we could work together on whatever her questions are. And I can see students waiting in the waiting room. And when she's done, Sammy leaves and I pull the next student in. So we can simulate the real world office hours that some of us were familiar with from the back in the 1980s, but we don't have to trudge through any bad weather to get there.
Right, virtual office hours have been great. It's more flexible for all of our schedules, so it's a great tool.
That's right. And by the way, the virtual office hours really work for when we have students that are across time zones. And so, you know, often our faculty, just so people know, if we have students working across time zones, they may hold office hours early in the morning, and then they may also hold them late at night to try to make themselves available to our students wherever they are. So I greatly appreciate that.
Great. So many institutions are now wishing they were better prepared with the technology to function remotely. How could Isenberg have better prepared?
I think, you know, the honest truth is that, you know, certainly nobody expected this in the sense of going fully online and remote in a week's time. That you just don't expect that. But I will say, and as I've said earlier, because we have, you know, vast experience in online education, we have extensive use of technology in our classrooms and in support of our teaching and learning management systems. The transition was not as difficult as it would have been and I know has been for some other schools and universities. So, you know, what I will say is that we've learned, I have to give a big shout out for our technology support systems group, our TSS group. They have literally carried us on our backs, or on their backs over the last month, getting everybody up and running, getting students up and running, making laptops available to those students who didn't have them. So, you know, as in any business, and I know our alumni friends out there, you know, you do contingency planning, business continuity. And so we are taking any lessons that we've learned, we will build that into the future for business continuity. Should we still have problems this fall, we will be ready for them.
Great. So in general, how are admissions going during this time?
Well, I'm gonna knock on wood. If you can hear that, I knocked on my desk. So far, so good. I heard from undergraduate enrollment yesterday. We are tracking at or just a little above where we were last year at the undergraduate level. Many of you are aware that, or may be aware that May 1st is the deadline for deposits, so we are on track. So let's keep our fingers crossed that the next couple of weeks that we continue that way, so that's very promising. At the graduate level, we're doing pretty well there as well. So I think we are on track. And for those alumni, I don't know if you are aware of this, if any of you are interested in looking at any of our graduate programs, for alumni, our Isenberg is offering a 10% off on the graduate programs, which is very nice at this time, I think. And top quality programs from our online MBA program to our other programs in accounting, our MSBNA and Masters in Financial Alternative Investments. So we've got an array of things going on, and we're tracking very well right now with interest and applications.
That's great to hear. Would you say that you're seeing more applicants for online programs?
I think right now, I asked Linda Eggenhagen, our Associate Dean for Graduate Programs, and she indicated that it's probably a little too soon to tell. We have kind of different start times for our graduate program, so it's a little too soon to tell. But I think, overall things are looking very positive. They are seeing an increase in inquiries from prospective students. And of course, what you always want to do is try to move those inquiries to applications. And so right now they're fielding those inquiries. And I think people out there are really trying to sort out their options. I will say, because of the way the market is, the way the economy is looking, and the uncertainty going into fall and into the new year, I think people are looking at graduate programs if in particular they don't think that there's going to be the job opportunity that they had expected or wanted. So we'll see. I think we're doing okay right now, and we'll keep everybody up to date on that.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, have students lost job offers in summer internships?
I think, unfortunately, and not a big surprise, some of the internships have dried up. They've gone away, and it's not a surprise. However, I will also say that a number of companies have done a really nice job and have really tried to work with our students to give them almost alternative internships, where they may be doing an internship at least partially for the summer remotely. Some of the companies and our great recruiters that we work with that had to rescind the internship for this summer have guaranteed job offers for next spring for our students that will be graduating 2021. So I know the companies, everybody is working really hard to try to fulfill these opportunities for students. And again, I have to give another shout out, and that's the Chase Career Center. They have been phenomenal. In all the departments and all our recruiters. We've been running a number of alumni sessions where alumni have been coming back online, of course, and talking to students about the reality of work in this kind of environment, but also talking about jobs and opportunities. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed and continue to work with everybody. And we appreciate everybody's help in this regard. And if anybody's out there that thinks they've got an opportunity that hadn't been pursued before, please let us know.
Awesome. Yeah, the Chase Career Center is super helpful. I've used them throughout my whole time in Isenberg, so that's great.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Are students with challenging home situations being given extra help?
I think there's a couple things that I can speak to on that. Certainly, as I said, with the faculty, we have asked the faculty, and I think they've been very responsive in this, to over-communicate with students and to be very supportive of our students, and recognizing that students have potentially varied home situations or off-campus situations. Campus has a number of resources available for students as well that we point to students to that are in some form of need, whether it's counseling or financial need. And so we've been working really hard to try to provide that support to our students. And I've talked to a number of students and also said to students that you guys have to be there for each other. The students have, you are the front lines to each other, oftentimes communicating with each other. And so if there's anything that you hear that we can help with, we've asked our students to also share that with us so that we can be there, even at a distance, for everyone.
Perfect. So the next question is, Isenberg was like a second home for me. How are you maintaining a sense of community?
That's going back to what I said earlier, is how do you create a sense of family or community at a distance when you're mediated by technology? And I will say, as I said, the over-communication of faculty, the support that is being provided by our advisors and Chase Career Center and TSS and other units within the school. But I will also say that, and I've seen some of this, I've heard some of this, is that out of the departments, out of the majors, we have had alumni step in and do panel sessions, give talks, where a number of students are coming into those. Departments are providing that kind of support. the clubs are doing it themselves as well. So a number of the clubs are getting together and meeting via Zoom. We have a number of sessions, coffee hours, where students and faculty are coming together. We have our doctoral students, they come together every Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock through Zoom to get together. So there's a number of those kinds of things that are maybe more social. Some are about career and school, but really about that sense of connection. And so, you know, and we welcome students, any ideas that students have. We've done some very fun things. Our marketing communications unit has done a phenomenal job through social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Students have been sending in video. We've got faculty doing videos that are very good too, but videos of themselves and pictures, and, you know, we've got pets and, you know, all that thing that kind of just creates that sense of community and that somebody is here. You know, somebody is here and somebody's paying attention to all of us. And so I think that has gone really, really well.
Great. Yeah, I definitely still believe that we're Isenberg together and everyone's kind of uniting during this time. So that is good. Next question is, my niece is a senior in Isenberg. What are the plans for graduation?
Well, we've got, you know, and this will be, we'll have more details coming out, but we've been working hard. There's two things. One is the plans by the university itself. As you know, the graduation ceremony related activities have been postponed, and their campus is working very hard on looking at the various options to get, when it's safe, to get students and their families back so that we can celebrate together in a face-to-face setting. In the interim, we have our plans for in and around the May 8th graduation that was scheduled for this spring in Isenberg, and I'm not sure if this has gone out yet. First off, the caps and gowns are being sent to students across the campus. The cords and Isenberg banner are being sent out to students. So you're going to have some paraphernalia. And we are asking, or will be asking, students to take pictures of themselves in their garb and submitting those pictures. We're going to be creating a virtual, essentially a virtual yearbook on our site. And on the site, we will have a video page with messages from myself and students representing the class. There'll be video from the so-called, we'll call them student speakers, representing the various disciplines within the graduating class. And we're going to have a few alumni giving some messages. So really trying again to reinforce that sense of Isenberg as a community. And I strongly encourage all students to, you know, submit your picture in the garb and your gown and everything, because this will be, we're trying to make it as fun as possible. We're pushing this out on social and so on. And the university is planning some activities for May 8th as well. What I don't think anybody wanted to do was do a live Zoom session with all the graduates. So we decided that wasn't such a great idea. I don't think any of us could do that. But we're going to try to have some fun. But there is the full intent of trying to get everybody back at some point where it makes sense and that we can come together and celebrate. I have to tell you, I know the students and their families were terribly disappointed. I have been terribly disappointed. I mean, this is my first year here. And so I, you know, love graduation. I love all the regalia of graduation and the speakers, and it's so much fun. And it's so much fun being with students and their families and just really celebrating all your successes. So I am probably not quite as disappointed as the students, but probably not too far behind. So I'm looking forward to when we can come together again.
Yeah, I've been telling my friends that we're kind of lucky in a sense, I guess, because we'll get two graduations, the virtual one and then the in-person one. So
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And there will be, and when we come together, that will be even more to celebrate, right? That we will be able to come together again.
Right. So over the years, I've come to campus to meet with students in clubs or speak in the class. Are students still able to get these out of classroom benefits?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of alluded to that earlier. I mean, we're having, and we're going to have more of these. We're going to run these over the summer too, where we have had I mean, I've received a couple emails, a couple of the finance classes. There were a number of industry speakers, and those events, they've come in through Zoom. Many other classes as well, alumni coming back, whether it's in the context of a class or in support of talking about what this is like for industry, what it's like for companies to work fully remotely. So we are still doing all of that. All the support, the critical support around advising and career services, we're doing all of that. And all of that will continue in through the summer. So, you know, we're planning some, you know, ongoing activities even after the end of the semester in a few short weeks. So we're in good shape, I think, and students are participating, and that's been fabulous.
Awesome. I know lots of organizations are looking for donations. Is Isenberg looking for donations?
Well, and it's always difficult, and I fully appreciate the challenges that many families, many individuals, our alumni, donors, and our students and their families are having at this point. I will say, and it's not a big surprise, and everyone can read the news, the economy is in terrible straits right now, and it's really obviously hit. Our unemployment rate has skyrocketed. The Massachusetts, like every state, the revenues are down significantly. And so all those kinds of things affects us individually, affects the families, and of course it's going to affect the university. But what really in the short term, the two ways that if alumni can help, and want to help, any small amount helps. We do have a resource at the university to help students. It's called SERF, S-C-E-R-F, and we can provide the link. And I printed this out because I thought it was useful. SERF funds help students cover expenses, food and housing, medical and basic health needs, childcare if they have to, caring for a disabled or sick parent, technology needs for online learning. Could be as simple as a student needs help buying a headset, for example. So this Student Care and Emergency Response Fund is available through the university, and many, many people, including faculty and staff, have contributed to this to help our students. The other fund that many alumni know that we have within Isenberg is the Dean's Excellence Fund, and this is a non-discretionary, or excuse me, discretionary fund that allows the school, as needed, we can provide support out to students. We use it for other things, but you know, any help that anyone wants to offer, many of our students are in need of help. They've lost their jobs or they've lost hours. Their home situation isn't what it ideally would be. So we appreciate, and I know the students appreciate, any help that people can offer.
Great. And then how is the financial health of the school? Are there new financial challenges being identified for next year with the possibility of this happening again?
Yeah, this, I mean, as I said, this, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and this is not a surprise. The effect, and this, by the way, this is not just UMass Amherst, and it's not just Isenberg. This has hit every university at every college across the country and globe in some places. The return this spring of students to their home settings and away from campus, and the refund of room and board put a huge hole in most university budgets. And so the university is working very hard to close the gap for the FY 2020. The uncertainty and remaining fluid nature of the effect of the virus as we get past the end of this spring term and into FY 2021. You know, we don't know what it's going to look like yet. Will we be able to come back fully to campus? Is it going to look like something else? So the effect on the budget isn't clear. We do know that this, as I mentioned earlier, that the state is already projecting its revenue losses and the challenges that the state will have, which in turn often causes some effect on public university allocations. So, you know, we are at Isenberg, I will say that we are good stewards of our monies that we receive. We are looking always to be efficient and effective with the use of funds that we receive, whether it's donor monies, state monies, or monies that we generate through revenues. Like, so we have our revenue generating programs like our graduate programs. So as we look at a very difficult budget situation, we will be looking for ways to be more efficient. We will be looking for ways that we can help offset the challenges that all of us are going to face going forward here. But I will say that I'm very happy that this spring, Isenberg was in good shape financially. This is going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for everybody, and we're going to do the best we can. So we've got good people and smart people, and things will become clearer over the next few months.
Right. Awesome. That was the last question. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to our Isenberg alumni here?
I just want to say, as I said before, you have a lot to be proud of as alums of the Isenberg School of Management. I am so proud of the faculty, staff, and the students that they have just been tireless with regard to making this happen in literally a month's time. We were up and running in a week. I know other universities extended their spring breaks because they couldn't do it. We did it in a week. Isenberg did it, and UMass Amherst did it. And there's so much to be proud of. Yes, there's going to be bumps along the way, as I said before, but we appreciate that, and we are willing to deal with that. And Isenberg, in terms of being a leader on campus and a leader within business schools across the country, people do look to us. I mean, they look at us and they say they know how to do it. They know how to do online. And so we're going to keep plowing forward. I will say the one thing, and I've shared this, some alumni I've met in different settings this year when we were able to be out on the road. This does bring home the need for us to constantly be investing in innovations around teaching and learning. And what I mean by that is we talked a little bit about the technologies we use. We've used Zoom here, and I've talked a little bit about the learning management systems we use. But there's a lot of other technologies out there that enable virtual work, that enable consumer markets, new things with consumer markets, VR, augmented reality, 3D virtual environments. I've taught in 3D environments before. So we're in a kind of this, this Zoom thing right now, but it has its limitations. And so what I'm really hoping is that what has happened to us this spring will be a catalyst for Isenberg. We will continue to move forward. We are not stopped. We are going to continue to look forward and move forward. And I'm hoping that this will be a catalyst for us to continue to invest in innovation around teaching and learning. Let's look at new technologies. Let's look at what is coming on that others are using, things that are on the horizon that we should be investing in, that we should be testing, that we should be adapting in support of our students, whether they are physically with us on campus or whether they are working with us remotely. So that's some of the things you'll be hearing alumni, you'll be hearing me talk more about this and talking about with our alumni and our donors and our industry friends. That we're going to be trying to look at and figure out how can we invest in those technologies and give faculty and staff a chance to play with them. I always like to think about creating faculty, staff, and students technology sandboxes where we can play with them and see what works, what doesn't work, how can we adapt it, and really continue to move Isenberg forward. I will share, and I've shared this with some of my senior leadership within the school. This is an opportunity for us in the sense that, we have been looked at as leaders in this space, and now we're going to need to lead more because everybody has been forced to work remotely. So people that have never done online before, they've been doing it for the last month, albeit it may not be very good. But suddenly everybody's going to start to think, hey, this is a new world. I need to get in this. It's going to create more competition in this space for us. So we have to keep driving what we do forward. We've got to be better, bigger, faster, whatever you want to say. And I'm actually kind of excited about that. We have got faculty and staff that are just, invested in the school and students that are interested. By the way, I want to say one other thing. Sammy would appreciate this. Our seniors, our senior class, they were working all year on the senior class gift. And the class gift this year, and they're still doing this, trying to get the seniors to contribute to this, and I appreciate under very difficult circumstances. The senior class gift, what they were going to focus on, their gift, was on technology in support of teaching and learning. So the students get it, we get it, and so I hope alumni can join us in that march to keep Isenberg in the top tier of business schools. I'm very proud of everybody, and I continue to look forward to meeting more and more alumni. Once we're able to get back out on the road and you can come back to Amherst and visit with us.
For sure. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dean Massey. We've been recording this whole session, and we'll send an email out with the link. So if you've missed anything, you can go back and watch it or share it with others who might be interested. And then if there were any questions submitted at the Q&A at the bottom, we'll take a look at those and figure out the best way to share those. Thank you to everybody for participating, and stay safe and well.
Yeah, have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks a lot.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Sammy.